Hey there, and welcome back to another Miraculous Ladybug Season 2 Retrospective review, where I go through old episodes of Miraculous I never got around to making a review on and give my thoughts. Today we're covering the episode Robostus, which in my memory is one of the standouts of Season 2, and an episode that had a very creative villain who even gets the drop on Gabe. Pretty excited to watch this one back, to tell you the truth, so let's jump into it. Okay, so we start off following the class as they walk from the locker room to Miss Mendeleev's classroom. I have to say, having watched the newest season and seen what the school looks like there, this shot feels extremely barren. The story in this episode is going to be good, the animation sure ain't. March of time comes for us all, I suppose. As they climb the stairs, Marinette realizes that she forgot to bring her bag from the locker room, and so she runs off to get it, but not before getting ripped on and laughed at by her friends and her bullies at the same time. Nice. Also Sabrina over there with the weird alternate hair. I'd forgotten this was ever a thing. Looks very bad, to tell you the truth. As Marinette goes and grabs her bag, she overhears Max talking to his bag, calling whatever's within it his best friend, which Tiki rather humorously finds quite suspicious. Marinette doesn't push it though, and instead goes out of her way to make it seem like she wasn't snooping on Max. They greet each other and walk to class, where Ms. Mendeleev and Mr. Damocles are struggling with a computer currently on the infamous blue screen. Claiming he's a bit of a computer whiz, Damocles decides he's going to save the day, and he does manage to get to the homepage after mashing some keys, only for the computer to be revealed to have been infected by Dino 33, which Max claims is a malicious computer virus that's going to wipe out the school's database. Yikes. Okay, so I guess this is Ms. Mendeleev's computer, right? So what has she been watching and clicking on to get this virus? Maybe she's just old. Good old tech illiteracy. As this is happening, Max tries to jump in to help, but for some reason, these idiot adults decide that no, this is a job for us, and go tell him to sit down. Imagine if the school just lost everything because these fools thought they knew better. As he does the walk of shame back to his seat, a voice calls out from within his bag, telling Max that unless he intervenes, there's a 99% chance that they're going to lose everything. Of course, they then instantly allow Max to get to it after they hear this, which does make it seem a little bit contrived. I mean, they send him away, but when they hear some random voice, suddenly they're willing to change their minds within 10 seconds. I love how Marinette seems so angry and suspicious when she's looking at Max when she doesn't know what was in his bag. Like, what was she thinking here? That he's secretly Hawkmoth and had Nuru in that bag? And then Nuru's gonna go rogue and talk in class? Max makes his return to the front of the room and is fishing around in his bag trying to find something. He's struggling until little robot hand lifts up a USB drive, which probably has the antivirus on it. By the way, take a look at Alex's hair color here. What the hell's going on? Doesn't look like they put a lot of effort into animating this episode, did they? Especially since later on her hair reverts to its normal color. Back to the antivirus software, instead of just getting straight to it, Max decides to talk about how he created this antivirus with the help of his best friend. Yes, he actually takes the time to talk about how they made it together and then introduce his little sentient robot. Is it sentient or is it sapient? What's the right word? Is it both? Either way, he is the most advanced robot ever made. Thankfully, Markov is on the ball, and he reminds Max that it's time to get going. They only have seconds left. The pair manage to save the day and reverse the dino's path of destruction before everybody decides they want to come and see the robot. The class comes together to celebrate Max's achievement, because honestly, it is a once-in-a-lifetime achievement. Not only has he built an intelligent robot who can properly think, but he's also made a robot who can feel. Max must be a Tony Stark level genius, fully creating synthetic life in his bedroom like Tony Stark built the OG Iron Man suit and mini arc reactor in a cave with a box of scraps. Max, of course, does boast a little bit about how awesome Markov is, but fair enough, because he is awesome, isn't he? Everybody's loving this guy, except for Chloe, who views him as an overgrown calculator. And of course, you know who's also there to kill everybody's joy and fun. Why, it's Ms. Mendeleev, of course. What a miserable person she is. Can't resist talking trash and raining on Max's parade. I mean, yeah, this kid casually made a superbot, but let's call it a toy instead. She then goes on to argue that a robot can't have emotions for some reason, even though in the end, our brain is literally all just electrical signals. That's no different to Markov, right? The little dude was originally just built as a robot. He's since been able to continue to upgrade himself and install his own emotions which guide his responses. Since he's fully self-operating and he has his own opinions, thoughts and acts outside of what Max wants him to do, at the very least you should be acknowledging just how advanced he is. Does nobody else find it majorly rich that she goes on and on about how Markov being a robot means he can't feel true emotions, only for her to later go on a conspiracy theory show to talk about how Kwamis are real? I mean, she's right, but imagine believing in one and not the other. It's absurd. Of course, she keeps arguing and then threatens to confiscate the poor little fella, which in turn leads to Markov arguing back that she's being unreasonable, which gets the whole class laughing at her in his comment. Here's where Mr. Damocles does what he does best, acts like a massive dumbass. He grabs Markov and confiscates him, telling Max he can come get him back after class, as well as threatening Max with detention when he complains. To be honest though, that's not even the part where he's a dumbass. Markov was being disruptful. I get it, you kind of have no choice to remove him. But who the hell wouldn't take this time to then just hang out with the robot whilst it waits for Max? Even if you don't believe that it's truly alive, it would still be a really fun thing to play around with. Also, then there's the fact that it is reacting to everything going on and speaking to you, even without Max being there. It even remembers things that he told him earlier. God damn. I'd be getting no work done that day. I'd just be hanging out with the cute little robot. You'd think that somebody who dresses up as an owl hero in broad daylight would be more willing to have a bit of fun. Instead, he mutes him, rather funnily laments how students don't have that button, and then chucks him in a drawer. Oh, imagine Gabe being more emotionally understanding than you. Yikes, that is a red flag. But yes, Gabe actually acknowledges this dude as being alive, and so he sends out the Akuma, and in the meantime, Marinette tells Max that she's going to fix things, as Max is worried that Markov's never been without him before. Marinette then speaks up against Miss Mendeleev's unfair policies, and like in any good dictatorship, school, Marinette gets punished for not towing the line and daring to question what she's been told. This ends up playing right into her hands, as while she'd been refused permission to go and see the principal, she eventually pushes too far and gets sent out of class. This, of course, leaves Ms. Mendeleev feeling bamboozled because she has indeed been bamboozled. Also, is there any non-evil character that is quite as grating and annoying as these two members of staff, by the way? Like any non-villain, they're just unpleasant people. I'm honestly not sure. Here we get some good old Gabe smooth brain as he akumatizes Markov and tells him that he's going to give him the power to bring all machines to life. Already that's a bit of a massively strong power, but then Markov's asking questions about what a Miraculous is and what it does and how he could wish for anything. Clearly Markov, therefore, would want to make a wish, and so realistically, he'd actually have no intention of ever helping Gabe get his hands on the Miraculouses. But somehow, Gabe doesn't pick up on this very, very obvious treachery and just lets him stay empowered by the Akuma. A super AI with compromised morals due to magical possession and gifted very strong powers over all machines. What could go wrong, Gabe? What could go wrong? Instantly, Markov asserts dominance over Paris and starts bringing machines to life all over the city, setting them to attack the population, and then after attacking Damocles, building himself a giant mecha body. Whilst Marinette runs off to transform, Markov starts looking for Max and finds him gawky in the courtyard alongside the whole school. Why is everyone standing there whilst he slowly builds this mecha body? Why would you not be immediately running away from the Megazord? Does nobody in this school have even a shred of self-preservation here? Get running! Very brief moment of redemption here for Miss Mendeleev when she grabs Max to try to protect him from getting grabbed by Robostus. Doesn't work, but hey, at least she tried. Robustus puts Max in the car head alongside him, and then being safety conscious, he gives him a seatbelt and a helmet, which I found to be rather amusing. In all of this time, Ladybug does absolutely jack shit, which gives time for Adrian to also run off to transform before they go to confront the robot together. Whilst Milen's dad gets everybody to safety, Robustus decides he has no chill and decides he's going to execute Miss Mendeleev. Yes, execute her. Perhaps a bit of an overreaction, but she's saved from becoming a smear on the pavement by the timely intervention of Ladybug. Cat Noir also turns up and they try to reason with him and also throw down and end up getting destroyed by Robustus while he makes his escape. As they try to chase him down, they begin to see the true scope of what he's been doing. The heroes end up having to save a bunch of people from robo attacks and end up making a little refugee camp on the roof of the hotel, whilst they also watch a declaration from a lamp at the mayor's office who's been named the new ruler of Paris. This declaration labels humans as objects and turns the city into a police state. Man, this episode's a lot darker than I remember it being. Also, the Chloe episode where she becomes the mayor is just Robustus but way less good, and you won't convince me otherwise. Realizing that there's no way to defeat all the Robo army, the heroes decide to go directly after Robustus to take him down and thus destroy his power, and so they follow his path of destruction to the football stadium, which they find pristine and empty. They think he's left, only for cars to come out of the tunnels and surround them, with helicopters flying overhead preventing them from jumping away either. They get pretty easily subdued, and Markov starts ranting about how he's going to be able to get his wish at last. A wish to make him into a real human, just like Max. He sends little tractors and toy choppers to steal the Miraculouses, and proclaims that he's going to be getting his wish, before he straight up betrays Hawkmoth by using his internal defenses to attack him. Also, Gabe just casually with the missiles in his house. It's a bit ridiculous, although I guess it makes a lot more sense now that we know he was part of the Illuminati. I have to say, this is a villain who has true aura. There has never been a villain quite like this. One who spends pretty much his whole time winning. One who effortlessly outsmarts Ladybug and Cat Noir at every turn. One who's able to get the drop on Hawkmoth and betray him whilst also talking mad shit. One who only doesn't instantly win because Max suddenly becomes athletic out of nowhere and is able to throw his bag to hit the drones away and frees the heroes from Robustus by climbing into a different part of the body. Seriously, Plot armor is the only way to escape this guy. He's too strong. Honestly, I'm surprised that Gabe ever thought that giving that space AI Akuma powers was a good idea after what happened in this episode. Then again, we do know he is a smooth brain. The way they end up beating him is kind of bullshit, really. They upload that virus and pretty much kill him, as if this guy who invented the antivirus software wouldn't have already installed it into the programming. Sure, that's egregious plot armor and you know it. Gabe manages to live to fight another day and realizes that he made a big mistake, and yet, as we see later on, he learns absolutely nothing from this. They needed a severe finger on the scales to defeat this guy, which is really my only major criticism of the episode's writing and structure, but it is what it is. De-akumatize, reverse everything, you know how it goes. Ladybug convinces Max to turn Markov back on because it's not his fault he has emotions and he shouldn't be punished for having them. And then they abandon them at the stadium, leaving them to walk all the way home or back to school. They don't even help him pick up his bag or anything. Nice. Marinette later on goes to see Fu to ask about the wish. And side note, Waze and Tiki with their little teapot and their little cups. That is the cutest image in the history of this show. I never thought about them having their own little furniture and gadgets. They should do more of that. Then we get that big exposition dump at the end about the wish and the price to pay. And holy shit, this was a good episode. Asterix and the gang were cooking with this one. Season 2 was so peak. They truly were the days. Anyway, with all that being said, that's the end of the episode, and these have been my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What did you think of this episode? Did you like it? Hate it? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.